So many. So fucking many.
I think the question is, what challenges have I not faced? There's so many.
I don't know, like it's enough of a challenge just to like get through this curriculum.
I faced a lot of like struggles and dead ends during this 5 years. Like 6, 7, 8 for me. But
deciding how to balance my life and my work, and at what point is it worth it to stay up late and to work on a project, or even something that is not academically related, and how that would contribute to my future, contribute to the next day, contribute to the end of the week.
A lot about work-life balance and prioritizing that.
Deciding whether I should sleep in until studio or I should get up and get that extra render in has been a challenge.
And I think kind of the relationships that I've like gained and lost through figuring out how that balance works.
But like to not forget about like friends, more importantly family, and for most people money, to just like juggle healthily.
I think there was a moment that I like finally decided, okay, I'm only gonna like spend this much in architecture and this much I need to like keep it for myself to keep living.
Health-wise has been an issue. I think sleeping is a challenge. Because there's architecture school, which is all-encompassing and wonderful and magical, because like, wow, you can throw yourself into a project and then, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten or slept in like 3 weeks. And then your body is just like a little crumpled mess.
I definitely am like a high stress, high anxiety person. I think that's been the biggest thing for me.
Challenges in terms of like emotional well-being, especially early on.
CMU is an extremely stressful place, figuring out what depression feels like and having to deal with that. And anxiety. Didn't have anxiety before coming here. Now I have a lot of it. So,
Like stress, depression, anxiety, self-esteem issues.
Depression, anxiety, stress, myself.
Just like the normal stuff. We all do.
For the most part, I started coming out on top, but long dialogue.
For better or for worse, that's like because of the high stress environment of the school. Like I wouldn't say that like I learned that because the school was like helping me along the way. I think it was like sort of trial by fire in that respect.
It really makes a difference, I think, in an institution to have someone that you feel comfortable with, that you can also like look up to, that has been through like similar things as you. And without that, it kind of feels like you're like floundering or like wandering a little bit like on your own.
For me, and most likely everyone else, there's always like an ongoing like existential crisis that you're having.
Why am I doing this? You know, in the moment, it can seem like each day is the longest time of your life. Why am I doing this? Oh my gosh, why am I doing 5 years of school? More mental challenges than anything else.
But I think when school got me at my most vulnerable point, like that existential crisis kind of like openly manifested itself.
Dealing with life and architecture and realizing that we're not saving lives and that we're just drawing shit, and it's okay if it's like not okay.
A bunch of issues I realized I had with the school and with the profession that I had to like acknowledge and know how to move forward with.
Yeah, I mean, academically, school has been horrible. I think I haven't quite ever found my place, no matter which studio I'm really in. I've always felt like I'm kind of tangent to what architecture is trying to do.
The biggest one has definitely been realizing halfway through that I didn't want to do this, and trying to figure out what to do with what I have done and how I wanted to move forward.
Professionally, I think I've really faced sort of trying to figure out where I relate to the architectural profession in terms of both what I want from it and what it can provide.
I think that was my biggest problem with architectural education,
in a sense that everything's so freaking open-ended, and you are, at the end of the day, you're the person that has to decide what kind of designer you want to be and what kind of design processes that you want to play with. And I'm gonna be honest, like, I feel like I still haven't found that.
You know, I came in like so like intense, like this like meteor coming into Earth. It was like together and like had a mission and like knew what it was gonna do. And then like as you get into orbit, you get hotter and hotter. Like as you get into the education, like things are happening, it's super exciting. And then you just, for me, I just broke into like a million flaming pieces. Like, do I really want to produce something that's like fantastical or like extremely fantasy oriented, or do I want to do something very concrete and based in reality for like underprivileged communities? Do I want to do a mixture of these things? Like the kind of polarity that I find myself in right now is something that's very challenging because I'm not sure how to balance those two halves of myself.
We come into this profession without knowing what it really entails. So oftentimes we spend so many hours trying to figure out something on our own because nothing's ever taught in a concrete fashion.
Definitely, at least like a personal challenge for me, and something that an area that I hope I've grown in, is that I didn't really understand anything about building in a city when I got here, and it was a big challenge, although not like a concentrated effort, to learn kind of the difference in how you approach like designing for people that aren't even necessarily in the building.
We were never taught how to like approach what a design like process is like, you know, and I think that's what like School of Design does really well. We were never taught that, and maybe that's something that's inherent to architecture.
Like I think that's something that we kind of just threw a casual glance at, and most of the time we just like say, oh, the building should go in this corner, but like the challenge of considering how your building fits into a larger city, it is still a challenge that I think we'll all be working on throughout the rest of our careers.
There's just like so much to learn, and I think it's not just like within our school, but within like architecture in general. There's so many ways to come at it, and there's so much you can try and learn, and it's all changing all the time. So like, how do you keep up with that?
That followed by the personal like dissatisfaction of like, oh my god, I can't do anything. And for the past like 5-6 hours, I've been spinning my freaking model, and I still have no idea of what I'm doing.
Coming into school also like not having architecture or arts as a background was like really different because it seemed like everybody like knew what was going on. So it was like feeling comfortable with myself and like confident where I'm at was like a big growing point for me.
Personally, I would say like the social element and like how do you kind of find your own voice. I've always had a kind of confidence issue, so how do you like accept that this is the place for being confident and you have to voice what you think, and then like really stand by that and kind of come up with the arguments around it and all these things. But at the same time, like personally inside of me, I'm just like I don't have that necessarily confidence because I don't have that knowledge yet.
There's not a lot of diversity in the faculty here at the School of Architecture, and I think not having people that you feel comfortable to go and speak to about certain issues makes a really big difference. I always felt like my best bet was to kind of stay under the radar the whole time because I didn't think people were gonna take my opinion about a lot of things seriously, just from like feeling like I was not being looked at as like someone that did quote unquote good work.
Well, the greatest challenge is shyness and trying to put myself out there. And this actually applies to a bunch of things, not just the school, but also just like and just going out and socializing.
Outside of studio, I don't feel like I have a lot in common with a lot of people in architecture, so that's been a challenge for me.
Though we're so close and though we're together all the time, that does come with a little bit of competition, and being able to see everyone's work all the time, being able to work with everyone all the time, and I think it was hard for me to separate that in what I wanted to do and what I thought I should be doing.
Another challenge is learning to work with other people. And personally, I would call this a humbling process. Because I think the biggest thing that you can take from it is that you're not always right, which like is really hard for me to say, but
I think the biggest challenge for me has been learning what feedback means.
Definitely a lot of like kind of separating myself from the work I'm doing, I guess.
Descriptive geometry.
Kind of in the first year you learn that grades don't mean anything, but still that's a hard lesson to continually learn.
When I was a second year, I was kind of silly that I thought every course matters to architecture, which is apparently not, yeah. So I'm glad I didn't just give up because of one silly course, I guess.